starting it off with, I think it's got to be the news of the week, right? Maybe of the month in the NHL.
Of the offseason so
far.
Of
the offseason. Brady Tkachuk going from the picture-perfect climate of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, all the way down until the chilly, brutal Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Sunrise, whatever the hell you want to call it. Brady Tkachuk is a Florida Panther, reignited with his brother Matthew. The Bash Bros are back together. Adam, at what cost, you may ask? 3 first-round picks, including two first this year, as well as the number 9 overall pick, a future first, and then a future second, which I believe is 2 years down the line. Now, Adam, I was sitting on the couch talking to my dad about a little Father's Day, having some Father's Day dinner, about how excited I was for the NHL and NBA drafts that are coming up this week. And I get a text from you, and I believe it was just the holy shit, Brady Tkachuk. Log onto the phone, you go look in. Wild news to start off the week. Adam, what are your initial thoughts on Brady Tkachuk moving to play with his brother?
Not surprised whatsoever. They, metaphorically jerk each other on their podcast. And, that aside, like, why wouldn't you want to play with your brother if you're playing in the National Hockey League? So, Jamie and Jordy Ben do it. Maybe the most famous brotherly combo to play in the National Hockey League, Jack. No, I'm joking. But I don't know. Like, would you be shocked if I told you that his 4-team trade list that he approved was Vegas, Carolina, Minnesota, and Florida? I mean, I think that's like the funniest part of this. It's like, oh, Brady, I wonder what 4 teams that he would allow a trade to. 2 of them are in the Cup final, and the other one is managed by Bill Guerin, who was the U.S. Olympic general manager, and Florida, where Matthew plays. I wonder where he's going to end up out of those 4. Like, I don't know. It's not that hard. At this point, it's like it's so unoriginal, right? Like, the next thing we know, like, Zach Werenski, like, the Minnesota Wild are going to have like 3 of the U.S. Olympian defensemen on their team. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, but there's some shady stuff going on behind the scenes with these U.S. guys.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. It seems like they all do want to play with each other. That's no secret now at this point in time. And we talked about it a little bit when the Senators got knocked out. It seemed like basically Ottawa wanted him out in the first place. The fans, after the Olympic gold medal, not that they turned on Brady Tkachuk, but you could tell that there was some sour blood in that it seemed like he'd possibly be going out the door. The Panthers made a move. Was it earlier in the day when they traded Mackey, or was that the night before?
It was earlier in the day. Yeah, it was
earlier in the
hours.
Day. So I think we kind of talked about it as well. That kind of sets up the stage for this move to be made. And yeah, I mean, that is my biggest question for you, because I think we've talked about on this podcast a few times now that the player movement is starting in the NHL, right? Like, it's starting to catch up to the NBAs in the world in terms of players deciding who they play with. GMs, not that they take a back seat. GMs are still of the utmost importance, but there's a lot more messing from the players with what's going on. Do you anticipate more building blocks? Well, I mean, you kind of hinted at it with Zach Werenski, but do you think a second massive name off of that Team USA team, or sorry, a third, because Dylan Larkin already requested a trade, will there be a third name from Team USA, in your opinion, that asks out and makes a big move like this to a contender?
I mean, I don't even know. Probably. I'm trying to think of the guys off like the top of my head who are on that team, but a lot of them are like under contract now. So like there really aren't like many of them. I think Vincent Trocheck will probably, like, he was already kind of like out there. So like
most
maybe
people are gone at the deadline, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't trade him. If I was New York, I would have traded his bum ass right there.
What were they playing for also?
Respectfully, because Vincent Trocheck is a good old Pittsburgh boy, but like him on the Rangers, I just can't really root for him right now. But again, respectfully, like, I don't think his value is ever going to be higher than it was at the deadline this year. So like, I can't imagine why they didn't trade him. And you're right, they had fuck all to play for this year because they were dog shit. So that one was a little perplexing to me, but he'll probably be on the move, I would assume. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head who else from the U.S. team they would move around, but one guy who was on the U.S. team and like who I've been thinking of this whole time, like what a shitty position to be in if you're Jake Sanderson, right? Like Jake Sanderson is like still in Ottawa, and everyone just watches Brady Tkachuk, who's the captain of the team and his Olympic teammate, get out of town, basically say like, I don't want anything to do with you guys. Now I can just imagine like everybody in the locker room's head just like instantly turns to Jake Sanderson and is like, well, what the hell are you going to do now? Are you going to bail on us too? Like, I'm sure it's not that extreme. Like Jake Sanderson is probably a really good guy, and like he's a stud too. He's absolutely unbelievable. So like I'd like to, and especially since they're like contending right now, I'd like to believe he's probably just going to be like, like I'm actually like here to play. I think that's what he'll do. It was weird with Brady Tkachuk. I don't like. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to shut up. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on a totally different book than you on it. I also think that, not to give everyone a spoiler, but I think we have a couple of different ways of attacking this trade and the different lenses you can go about it as we move on with the show. I think that there's 6 different unique angles that we're going to cover I made sure of this. We're going to cover every possible base on the show. So I'm excited to get deeper into it as we move through the show. But Adam, the other big thing that happened in the see that little don't give them everything. You got to keep watching if you want to hear everything we think about that Brady Tkachuk trade, or don't. Who gives a shit? Not us.
Nope.
Adam, the other big news that dropped today was the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame has 6 new inductees. The names, just to give a quick read off for everyone who might have missed it this morning, because I am going to post this thing tonight, actually, Adam. Patrice Bergeron, Carey Price, Pekka Rinne, Keith Tkachuk, Cindy Curley, and Brian Burke. I think those are pretty much all familiar names for the most part. I could sit here and re-explain to you the career of Patrice Bergeron. I think you guys all know that pretty damn well. Cindy Curley, probably the most interesting name for hockey fans who might not know who she is. She was a star forward for Providence when they went back-to-back in 1984 and 1985, went on to become a 3-time silver medalist for Team USA, like one of the initial driving forces of United States women's hockey. So for fans of women's hockey, probably not a massive surprise. I'm sure for the rest of us, maybe it's a little bit of who's that? But I got to do some reading today, and I learned about Cindy Curley. I cannot admit that I knew who she was before noon-ish today. Adam, the other one, Brian Burke, who spent some time in Pittsburgh, he is going in as a builder. And this is something that we're going to get into later in the show because I have a couple of interesting thoughts on this. But Brian Burke, best known for his position in the NHL front offices, probably one of the main reasons you get out of that lockout in 2005 or leading into the lockout, like I think kind of helped prevent it a little bit or going as deep as it did. He hops directly from that into the Ducks front office. They go get that title in 2007, I want to say it was. So another great hockey life lived. Adam, anything you got on these 6 guys and girls, or is there a name that, because we're going to get into the snubs later and there's a whole lot of those, but anyone out of this list who you're especially like, damn, I'm really happy they got in this time around?
Ooh, well, Brian Burke is a cool name to see on there because even though, like, I don't know, he had like a brief tenure with the Penguins, it didn't really go that great. But Brian Burke is just cool because he does the tie. He always wears a tie, but he never actually ties it. That's what I'll always remember about Brian Burke. Nothing hockey related, just Brian Burke with like a tie around his neck and never tied. So shout out to Brian Burke for that. Great style. Cindy Curley, by the way, this might have to be an idea for a future like DB of the week, Jack, because she like you're talking about how she was on that those was it Providence you said?
Yeah
Providence, like they ripping off national titles and stuff. Some of these women who are like the like the stud Olympians that you hear about, like they all play college hockey basically. And so if you go and look at their DBs and some of the numbers that they put up in college, it is just silly stuff, dude. Like,
I was
we'll
gonna
have to get to that.
Even for Cindy Curley specifically, I don't know what tournament it was. It was not an Olympic tournament. It was a 5-game tourney, and she had 32 friggin' points, which is just
that's what I'm saying.
Like that's 6 points per game. Like, I mean, there are guys in the NBA who don't have 6 points per game who are making $10 million a year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna pull her up right now, actually, because I just want to like.
Let's pay some money to a Hall of Famer. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, man, she's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if they have her college stats on here. Damn, that sucks.
Adam, if
We'll
you
have to come back to that then.
bones in the body of Cindy Curley, right? What's her ERA if she gets 52 innings for the John Carroll Blue Streak women's softball team?
Well, an athlete's an athlete, so I'd probably just have to like safely bet that Cindy could really fend for herself and get sub 10. I'd really just like, I think that would have to happen. I'm going to give her credit. She's in the Hall of Fame for a completely different sport, but she's an athlete. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, she is an athlete. And let's talk about the rest of the athletes as we move on with today's show. We're going to get into the Tkachuk trade once again in a second, but we're going to start with the Eldrick of the week this week. We used to do Eldrick of the week first. We moved it back when the playoffs came because there was all the big excitement. Blah, got to get into those games, the cup final. The Eldrick of the week is back in the first spot, and that's a spelling error. That says Riley Sheehan down there for Eldrick of the week. Adam, that's supposed to say Tinky Winky. Tinky Winky, if you're not familiar, is actually the legal U.S. government name given to the purple Teletubby. Adam, I don't know if you're familiar with Tinky Winky. One of the best stories probably in the history of sports. Adam, do you want to, I feel like just off rip, do you want to take it away because you're probably more familiar?
Well, I mean, I'm slightly familiar with this. It looks like
I can't take it away. I can take it away if you'd like.
I was just gonna say, it looks like he's with his good brother Poe. I know that's Poe there.
That is Poe right there. Yeah. And Poe's name is also Brendan Smith, former Red Wings prospect. So I believe it was rookie camp for former. There's no better combo. It's the Brian Rust Award. The former Notre Dame Fighting Irish turned Pittsburgh Penguin. The Brian Rust Award goes to Riley Sheehan. So in his rookie camp, Riley Sheehan was under the age of 21, the legal drinking age here in the United States of America, went out with Brendan Smith, and he was like, Brendan Smith, who was 21. I don't know if you can tell there in the bottom corner. I'm looking my best. They look close enough where Brendan Smith decided he would give off his license to Riley Sheehan so he could use it to hit the Boston bars, I believe it was at the time. Mr. Sheehan had a nice little night on the town. Adam, I think we can all think of the nights where maybe we had too much to drink, right? I would like to assume that I have never at any point in time had a BAC higher than 0.2 in my life. Well, when Riley Sheehan got pulled over on that fateful night after leaving the bar in Boston, he blew a 0.3, which is more than 4 times the legal limit, or right about 4 times the legal limit, rather, Adam, which is quite impressive. And Adam, I would have to think you're probably never getting out of a DUI, right? I mean, that seems like a pretty tough thing to get out of. Maybe you can throw a piece of gum in your mouth and hope for the best. Maybe you swig of water. I have never been in that scenario. Hopefully I never will be. I never will be. I'm not even going to say will never be. I will never be in that scenario at some point in life. If you get pulled over and you have to do your sobriety walk in a Tinky Winky costume, Adam, you have to think things are looking real dim for the home 9 at that point in time. Riley Sheehan got off okay, only community service because he's an NHL athlete, and that is how we do things in the great city of Boston. Boo. But Adam, I think getting arrested in a Teletubby costume on Halloween is one of the greatest things you could ever do. Outside of the 0.3 DUI accompanying it.
I was gonna say I've actually never blown before, even for fun. So I have no idea if I've ever gotten close to that number. But his best shot at getting off that night, Jack, was probably just that if his last drink of the night was a shot of Rumpelmans and his breath smelled like Listerine, and somehow he wasn't cross-eyed whenever they came up to him with their lights and he rolled his window down. I mean, that's tough to go full Shinsu Chu mode there on rookie camp in that costume. That's a humiliation ritual, really. That's worse than any kind of like rookie activity that the team could actually put you through on their own right there. So I guess he just wanted to take one for the team and lay it all out there. I don't know.
Adam, I do think we owe it to the good people at home to give them a visual,
Is this him in cuffs by the car? Because I've seen that still image before, and it's quite funny. Yep.
Yeah, Adam, where is the drink in the greatest photos of all time? I mean, here's my thing. If you get arrested in a Teletubby hoodie, you don't fucking put that thing down. You got to keep the hood up the whole entire time. I don't care what the officers say to you, because you're just as much Tinky Winky as you are Riley Sheehan. But yeah, that is like, do you remember the old Allstate commercials back in the day? Like don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't get pulled over in a Tinky Winky costume. I think that is my takeaway from today's episode.
Yeah, thank God nobody got hurt by Tinky Winky that night.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
That's the silver lining, so that we can just laugh at him.
Exactly. Yes. That
Kind of
was so
similar to
funny and bad.
kind of similar to like Ryan O'Reilly driving his car directly through the front of a Tim Hortons. Like you just pray that nobody gets hurt in those situations. And so thankfully Riley Shan came out there unscathed, and everybody else too. I mean, yeah, it's a great photo though. It really is. It's iconic, if you will.
It is iconic. And Adam, maybe this segment will be iconic. First time we are doing it in the history of Having Fun Hockey. If it's a baseball show, you might call it fair or foul. Who knows? We're on a hockey show, Adam. This is good goal or no goal. I'm going to need you to give me a firm one of these with your answer, Adam. Firm one of these, either way. A couple of topics. We're going to rip around the three biggest things in the NHL right now. The Brady Tkachuk trade, the Hall of Fame ceremony or announcements, rather, as well as the NHL draft coming up. Adam, good goal or no goal? The Tkachuks have been a part of the two biggest trades in the National Hockey League in this century.
I'm going to preface this by saying when you get the biggest 7 viewer show in the greater Cleveland area, you can afford to try new things like this. So good for us. This is a firm no for me, because Brady Tkachuk's yet to play a game in a Florida Panther uniform. For all we know, he could tear his ACL like Alexander Barkov did before the beginning of next season and not strap him up at all. So, yeah, there's no, like Matthew Tkachuk, you can make the argument for that one for sure, because of the pieces that were exchanged for that, and then the immediate success that the Florida Panthers enjoyed afterward. I think that one is like pretty fair. I say no though because of Tkachuk. Like Brady hasn't played it all there yet, and I'm sure that if I really went back and looked, I could find a more impactful trade than this one. So.
Oh, Adam, there's nothing in the world I love more than recency bias. And I'm glad that you have a level head about this situation. You can bring us down to reality. But for the time, I'm going to give it a good goal, Adam. I'm going to make the move. So
yeah, that's because you're in showbiz and you know that like you have to disagree with me off the
Well, that's also part of it. Don't get me wrong. But Adam, there were trades that were up there in contention. Because obviously, and also here's another thing too. The question is the two biggest trades, not biggest impact to come out of a trade. I think that is where my difference is coming in for my answer. Probably the biggest one people will be screaming, or by people, I mean the two people watching at home in Cleveland time, will be saying, hey, Jack, Joe Thornton, that's a midseason trade that happened in the 2000s. He gets moved from Boston out to San Jose for Marco Sturman, a couple of other pieces. That is right up there for me. That is obviously a massive trade that changed both those franchises, even though the Bruins did end up winning a couple of years later. Mikko Rantanen times 2. I think either of those are also up there for massive trades that happened very recently. But just off of the impact I've seen in the sport, because hockey is bigger right now than it's ever been. I'm not saying that it's going to take over anything, but I think that like the general public has the most knowledge of hockey that they have in quite some time due to the Four Nations going as well as it did due to Team USA winning the Olympics. I think if you pulled the average American, and I'm American, so I'm thinking of it this way, America, I think about 2% of the American population knows who Mikko Rantanen is probably. I think the numbers for Brady and Matthew Tkachuk are a lot higher. I think that this will be a big story, not just in the hockey world, but in the surrounding sports atmosphere as well. I think that people know the Bash Bros, and I think it will be a story more so closer to when the season starts that Brady and Matthew are together. And honestly, for that reason, I'm going to say this might be the biggest trade of the 21st century in the NHL. Not off of the impact or, this is going to happen right away. Off of, if you're purely looking at big in terms of what's going on in sports, I don't think a trade has turned this many heads in the sport of hockey, in the sports world outside of hockey in the 21st century.
Yeah, the name certainly helps them. I would simply rebuttal with
part of it, though. The name's part of it.
I know, but I would simply just rebuttal with Quinn Hughes getting traded to Minnesota earlier in the year, because my jaw legitimately hit the floor when Elliot Friedman tweeted that he was getting traded to Minnesota, and then you see the Zeev Buium and the Liam Ogren and the Marco Rossi and a first round pick that all go back in return for it. That one was crazy to me, and his name's just as big as everyone else's. The only difference is that happened.
I don't think nationally it is, though. I think in the hockey world,
I know.
I don't think people Look, I'll be
Well,
honest.
this is a hockey show, so everybody else can suck it. This is not the biggest trade.
I'm looking at the big picture. It's all about the bigger picture. It's bigger than black and white, and you fucking know that for a fact.
I know it is, but I disagree with you. So you can look at it through that lens, and I'm going to look at it through my lens. And there's a world where maybe my lens is right in both situations, but also maybe not. So whatever.
We'll call it a stalemate for the first one here on Having Fun. I fucking love this segment already. Adam, the Panthers overpaid for Brady Tkachuk. Good goal, no goal.
No, they didn't overpay. In fact, they paid like very little compared to what most teams probably would have paid. Like I think Bill Zito kind of like played a little bit of bully ball here because I kept hearing about how they kept trying to get like an NHL caliber player, like a roster player in return as part of this. So like maybe it instead of it being 3 firsts and a second, it could have been 2 firsts, a player and a second, right? Like think of like a Carter Verhaeghe, or I think that they tried on Lundell too, but like I think that they just stood firm and were like, no, like we're giving you the picks. If you can either take this or you can get nothing, and that's a scary situation if you're Steve Stais, probably the general manager of the Ottawa Senators. But I don't think they overpaid at all.
Adam, as much as I would love to give a little clip farm here and say that I disagree with you, I like to keep the integrity of Having Fun Hockey because I do genuinely believe that Brady Tkachuk getting traded is the biggest trade of the 21st century from a looking out lens. Adam, I think this is a no goal as well. I'm going no goal on it. I think that there is more debate to be had than may meet the eye. And also I think it's so hard before you know who they take with these picks. But as we're going to get into in a later segment here,
they better not take anybody with those picks. They better trade those picks for somebody who can play.
I'm excited. We'll get into that. I love that. But I was going to say, we will get into later in the show, there have been 6 times since 2010 that a top 10 pick has been moved, not in a trade back, and not all those worked out for the team that moved on from a top 10 pick. No spoilers, though. We're going to make you guys wait for that. And Adam, we're going to get deeper into your thoughts on the Senators bouncing those picks right back out, because I really do want to hear about that. So obviously it's tough. You know, we don't have a NHL mock trade simulator sitting right in front of you, and Maybe I could have been a good host / friend and maybe even given you a chance to think about this for more than 5 seconds. What kind of return, and you don't have to say this player, maybe it's a right-handed top 4 defenseman, or it's a third-line center, whatever it may be. We probably wouldn't be a third-line center for the 9th overall pick, jackass. But if you're moving on from 9, and is it 24?
25.
9 and 25, what are you hoping to recoup if you are the Ottawa Senators?
You have to have a top 6 forward at minimum who has probably put together like 3 worthy seasons of earning them that title, in my opinion. That's what I would be doing. Go to a team that is not going to be a contender probably and has a guy that you like, and you go and dangle those out in front of them and see if they want them. This probably won't happen, but I'm just like, you know, like people were talking about Jordan Kyrou a ton last season. Like,
yeah,
maybe you go to the St. Louis Blues and say, like, you already got 3 first-round picks. Do you want 2 more for Jordan Kyrou? And then do that. I don't know, but you have to get somebody back. You have to get a top 6
in a video game where you pick out the whole first round. That's the direction the St. Louis Blues could be heading. Adam, good goal or no goal? Pekka Rinne is the best goalie to be added to the Hockey Hall of Fame this year.
No, and shame on you for even making this a question. Carey Price is infinitely better than Pekka Rinne. Infinitely better.
Adam, will you indulge me at least?
Yeah, you can talk, but
I'm going no goal. I'm going with you. But I would like to, because I did a little research on this thing, because I thought this wasn't even a question that I had thought of until I read a article on The Athletic where they mentioned the fact that maybe Carey Price isn't the best goalie to be going into the Hockey Hall of Fame this year. These two come in with an exact same career save percentage, .917, which is pretty wild, just thinking off of like how many shots they both took thousands upon thousands of shots in the NHL. Like, what are the odds that you have the exact same save percentage when it's all said and done? Pekka Rinne does come away with a lower goals against average and a higher win percentage and also was more durable, played more games in his career. So I do think that it is a little bit more interesting than might meet the eye.
Yeah, but like, I just think that like if you say to somebody, do you want prime Carey Price or do you want prime Pekka Rinne? You pick prime Carey Price because
100%.
I understand the numbers are like pretty equal. Like, you don't get into the Hall of Fame if you don't have the numbers, right? But I just think that for so long, like everybody's joking now because like the Canadians finally have like a young core forwards that can actually like score and put up goals and run support for their goaltender. And for like the entire time that Carey Price existed in Montreal, they couldn't score for shit. They couldn't do anything to help that guy. Like, it was literally like the Carey Price show every single night. And he was just standing on his head and absolutely dialed in order for them to win. So I think that for that reason, I'd go with Carey Price is the better one in my mind.
Let me ask you this, though. And I think that is totally the correct answer. I'm with you on it being no goal. In hindsight's 2020, so it's a lot easier to do this when both guys are retired. Adam, if you are starting a franchise, though, from day one, and you know that Carey Price isn't as durable as Pekka Rinne, do you consider taking Pekka Rinne as your goalie just off the fact that you're going to have him more often? Because it wasn't like Carey Price started his career, didn't he?
I don't know what numbers you're looking at, but Carey Price has played more career games than Pekka Rinne, so it just proves my point even more. So I'm going to stick with Carey Price. I'm not going to be talked off this ledge.
Okay, well, no, we'll get back to it. I will make it my mission at some point in time to talk you off of this ledge.
Okay, I mean,
that's my win for the day.
Okay,
Adam. Good goal, no goal. This is probably the biggest debate I've seen on Hockey Hall of Fame Twitter today, to this point in time. Good goal or no goal, Keith Tkachuk should not be in the Hall of Fame over Rod the Bod.
I don't know. This is tough, Jack. I'm gonna say no. Like, they should both be in. Okay, let's put it that way. Like, they should both be in. The thing about Keith Tkachuk is that I think he catches a little bit of flack here because there's a lot of divide about the image that his sons have created for themselves and for the Tkachuk name, right? So I think that is what like even makes this a question. Like, Keith Tkachuk has over 500 career goals, well over 500 career goals, and he played in an era that wasn't particularly designed for goal scoring. And there's a lot to be said for that. So, like, he's a damn good player. He should be in there. He won the World Cup of Hockey with the United States. He was on that team. I believe that was 1996 that they won that. So, like, he has a little bit. He never won the Stanley Cup, but he has that. He has a little bit of that international success to go with his career numbers, and so those are good. Like I said, the simple answer to your question is that I think they should both be in. I think that Pekka Rinne didn't need to make it in this time around, and that both those guys could have gone in. The other thing I'll say, though, is that before either of those guys go in, this guy needs to go in, Jack. That would be one Vincent Damphousse.
That's a question. That's a question I wrote. Fuck.
Really? I didn't even see that.
Vincent that was coming up. That was coming up.
Okay. Yeah, no, Vincent Damphousse is easily more deserving than both those guys. So I'm going to use this as my plug to go to bat for my guy. The second best player out of Quebec to ever play in the National Hockey League. He'd be number one if it wasn't for a guy named Mario Lemieux. That would be Vincent Damphousse.
Is
1,200 career points, and he's not in the Hall. Stanley Cup champion. Yeah, captain of the last Canadian team to win a cup.
Not in the Hall of Fame. I saw.
Yeah, it's bullshit. He should be in there.
Rod the Bod is a Conn Smythe winner, right?
No, Cam Ward won it that year.
Cam Ward did? Fuck.
Yeah, that'd be 06.
It's just so tough, man. See, I was going to say, in terms of legacy, I think the thing that people hate about Keith Tkachuk is that he was part of the '96 Olympic team that trashed the hotels when they didn't even make the medal round. Like I think that is like one of the bigger things that kind of goes against his. I don't know, man. And it's tough for me to say because like I didn't watch either of them play. Like so it's a little bit tough for me to give the nod to one over the other. I'm gonna say no goal. I'm actually pissed about the Stanley Cup final. I'm gonna say no goal. I want Walt in the Hall of Fame. Fuck Rod Brind'Amour. But he should be in the Hall of Fame as well. Let me say that. But for all intents and purposes, that is my answer. But in favor of Rod the Bot, so I'm going to explain this good goal or no goal. A hockey life should warrant a Hall of Fame bid if being a builder does. So Brian Burke goes into the Hall of Fame as a builder, guys that have a major foundational impact on the sport of hockey and the institution and developing the game into what it's become. By no means am I saying Brian Burke or any of the builders should not be in the Hall of Fame. But where my gripe comes in with Rod Brind'Amour not being in the Hall of Fame, Adam, is the fact that how come you can have this builder, like you've done so much for the sport and you like blah, 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 you get in the Hall of Fame. But when it comes to a guy who was a pretty damn good player right on the line and is now a Stanley Cup winning coach, how does his hockey life, when you're putting his playing and coaching together, how does that not culminate into a hockey Hall of Fame career, but you can get in as a builder of the game? So I guess I answered my own question first. I'm going to say good goal. I think that Rod should be in for a parlay of what he did as a player and a coach, and I think that should be allowed. Where do you lie on that, Adam?
Are you saying that like coaching is what would classify you as a builder?
No. So there is like
a
category currently of getting into the Hockey Hall of Fame, which is builder.
Like, right.
But Brian Burke got in as a builder. It's like a foundation. It's not necessarily coaching. It can be like you can be a coach, but like you can get in for a plethora of different reasons in terms of growing the game or making an impact. Yeah. My thought is, how the fuck is Rod not in the Hall of Fame then? Like if you're either one, put him in as a builder, or I think that your playing career and your coaching career should not be mutually exclusive when you're looking at a Hall of Fame builder.
Okay, I understand. I would agree with you. I think that it would be fair to look at a body of work collectively. Like if you're a player and you become a coach, then I don't see a problem with how you could look at the two of those under the same microscope and use that to evaluate and make your decision. I agree with you on that. I'm there.
Can I get a good goal out of you? Just
one time there.
All right, Adam. Next one as we roll on down the list. Two questions that are a little bit centered around the NHL draft, I would say, in some way, shape, or form. So, Adam, we just talked about the plethora of first-round picks that our friends down at the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis. Is it still called the Scott Trade Center?
I have no idea. I've always known it as the Enterprise Center. So it might have changed since I knew it as the Enterprise Center.
No, I think I was thinking of the Enterprise Center. I think I fucked that one up, to be quite frank with you, to keep it a buck. Regardless, the Blues will win, good goal or no goal. The Blues, who have 3 first-round picks this year, will win the Central in the next 7 years. I'm not saying 3 years, I'm not saying 5. You have 7 years for the St. Louis Blues to win the Central.
This is tough, man. They would need a lot of things to go their way. Number one, they would need like Colorado to be on their way out, probably.
I think it's possible in 7 years.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, they need to fall off for sure. They need Dallas to fall off too. Not sure how that looks though. That's less likely than Colorado, in my opinion. What else? Utah.
But it could be an interesting offseason for the Stars.
Yeah, Utah is building right now, and I think they're going to be really good. So, you know what though, Jack? You know what they say: every blind squirrel nuts. And so, I think that in the next 7 years, what the hell? Let's give it to them. I don't even know if they've won it before, to be honest.
That'd be a great question. I can actually give you my little spiel if you want to take a quick second and look that up. Adam, I'm not too dissimilar from you on this. I'm going to go no goal, though. I don't think the Blues get one, and it's because another young team is my pick to one day rise up to the top of the Central Division. They've been there before. You hate to say it, but a team with Connor Bedard in now, year 3? It's just the fact that, Adam, that salary cap is going up so much, and the Blackhawks have so much fucking draft or salary cap room that it's not even funny. I hate to say it. I don't want to see them do it. I think that we are quicker to see the Blackhawks return to the top of the Central than we are the Blues. Do you have any thought on that?
No, that's fair. I mean, yeah, that could definitely happen. And by the way, I just went back. I went all the way to the 14-15 season whenever Ken Hitchdick took them to the top of the Central Division. Ken Hitchcock had the boys rallied to a 51-24 and 7 record that year. Good for 109 points in the Central Division title, Jack. So to be honest, I just went to Jordan Kyrou's DB because I said his name not that long ago and clicked on the first team he was on. So I only started going from the 18-19 season back. I don't know if it's happened between the 2019 season and now. I have no clue, but they have won it before. So they have won it before. So I was wrong, but yeah.
Adam,
Blackhawks aren't a bad take though, not at all. They better hope they win it in the next 7 years because otherwise things have gone
really gone if they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Last one for good goal or no goal before we flip to another new segment because good for fucking us. The Golden Knights' downfall is impending very, very soon. Adam, you had a couple of notes about their draft capital as well as another Pacific Division friend in the Edmonton Oilers. How far off are we from seeing the Vegas Golden Knights finally bottom out as everyone in the world besides me is wishing for?
I don't think that as much as people want that, I don't think it's going to happen because they'll never have a problem being a trade destination. Clearly, all these guys who are requesting trades have Vegas on their 4-team list that they would go to. So that's one. And same with free agents. If you're a UFA and you hit the market, they always will have the whole destination status type of label that helps them bring guys in. So, I mean, who doesn't want to go just eat endless buffet at the Wynn on their day off? Whenever you could do that in Vegas compared to who knows what out in Winnipeg or something
Boston's Pizza in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, exactly. So those two things are just all. And the other thing too is they're not afraid to just dish guys out. So they don't play this game, which I think is going to catch up to Florida. Florida has all these guys and they sign them to these deals. Bobrovsky wants a 6-year deal. You can't do that.
40.
I know, but Marchand, they did that though. They gave Marchand way too much term, and I think that might bite them in the ass. We'll see. Time will tell. But Vegas certainly won't do that. So I think they protect themselves in that way. They're not afraid to move on from guys. They'd rather move on too early than too late, and I think that can only help them. So
it's the Patriot way. It's way better to move 1 year too early than too late, Adam. Let's hit the Phil. I think everyone in the world can answer that question, so I think we can move on just fine for all 4 of our listeners on Cleveland time. Fill in the blank, Adam. Got a couple of them for you here. Blank is the team with the best chance of keeping the Florida Panthers out of the Stanley Cup final next year from the Eastern Conference.
Okay, so we got to be in the Eastern Conference here. Damn. Florida. Okay. I don't think that it's going to be anybody. I don't think it's going to be anybody from the Metro, to be honest.
I was on the exact same thought.
So I'm eliminating every team from the Metro, respectfully. Damn, man. For me, I think that Tampa, they just are they hang around, man. They're always there. They're always hanging around, and they got that rivalry. And you never know what can happen with rivalries. It's like whenever Michigan plays Ohio State, you just never look at the spread. You just decide who you're going to pick in that game because the spread means absolutely nothing. To me, it kind of is the same vibe with these two teams at this point. So, I'd say the Lightning if I had to pick one team. Gun to my head, G to my H.
Yeah, G to my age. Actually, there's no G to my age. I wrote this question 2 hours ago. Adam, I'm going right with you on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And
Wow.
honestly, it's because I don't see another team in the Eastern Conference that I think can do it. I think your closest bet after them, is it our buddies who just won the cup? I don't know.
No, I think it's always going to be another Atlantic Division team. It's either behind Tampa, it's like Buffalo, and then
I
it's
forgot
Montreal.
Buffalo. Buffalo with another playoff year under their belts. They make it. I still think from true cup contention, they're one more big guy away, though, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Buffalo's a team of guys who are like pieces of shit to play against and like would not be intimidated by the bully ball that the Panthers try to play. So I would take Buffalo.
Good for the Sabres.
Yeah.
Adam, the Senators are blank to making a sustained run of success after trading Brady Tkachuk.
What am I giving you here? Like a word, a
I
number,
guess
or what?
further, really, or the exact same, the more I think about it.
Oh. Well, it all depends on what happens with their picks. If they can actually like trade all the first round picks that they got for Brady Tkachuk for a capable top six player that keyword wants to be there, then they will. If they just trade for a guy to trade for a guy, like everybody's talking about Jason Robertson, but like everything is pointing towards Robertson not actually wanting to sign long term there. It would be a waste of everything. It would flush everything down the drain if they traded for a guy like that. You have to get a guy who actually wants to be there and can play top 6 minutes. So I don't think it has to be like the same kind of guy as Tkachuk. Like you're not going to go look for another like big power forward type guy. Like just get a guy who plays well with what you've already got, and you'll be fine. So I don't think they're in a salvageable spot. They can still be like closer to playoff success than they were this year if they pulled this off.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and you're right. Obviously, you do need to see what exactly goes down, Adam, between if they take those picks, if they trade those picks, whatever happens. I'm just so anti. I mean, I know you're in a corner, but I think further, man. I just think it's so tough when you go from an absolute that you know what Brady Tkachuk is, and there were legitimate and still are legit. I mean, well, they won't go aside now that he's not the best player on his team, but I think like going into the playoffs, I think basically anyone would tell you that Brady Tkachuk was the worst number one player on any of the 16 playoff teams. Like I think the Athletic did a poll, and that was the answer too for it. It's tough because it's like, yeah, like I don't know if he is your guy to go win a championship, but especially when you have a front office that's such a fucking dumpster fire 24/7, like the Ottawa Senators, it's so tough for me to ask them to go do the right thing. And Adam, honestly, here's the thing though. I think my answer would be different had they gotten a Carter Verhaeghe or whatever it was, Lindell, like whatever they tried to get out of the Panthers, because I think things become so much different when you do get that piece back. Like for the Browns, for not to make it about your Cleveland football Browns once again, if the Browns had moved Myles Garrett and only gotten draft picks, I would have been like, fuck, we can't draft. I mean, I know they've had a good draft here or there, but like, shit, we're in trouble. Getting Jared Verse back, who won the Defensive Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, it's like, okay, like, that's a concrete, I can see him with my own two eyes building block that this team is going to have for the next couple of years, in addition to the picks. I feel like it's a very similar thing for me with moving on from a guy like Brady Tkachuk. Like, I want to see that concrete piece back. So maybe we revisit this in a couple of weeks if they do move off those picks and go good forward.
Well, Brady Tkachuk had 0 fucking points in the playoffs, so I don't think that they're any different with or without him, to be honest. So bring in any player who can get a secondary assist in 4 playoff games, and you've got somebody who's more impactful than that guy already. So that's my answer. Yeah.
Adam, you already answered this, so I guess I have to answer this. Blank is the number 1 snub from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Adam, please take it away one more time for our guy.
That'd be Vincent Damphousse, the second best player to ever come out of the province of Quebec, only behind Mario Lemieux, 1,200 NHL points, a Stanley Cup champion. The answer to the best NHL trivia question of all time, which is who is the only player to play on 3 different teams in 3 consecutive years and lead their team in points for each of those seasons. That would be Vincent Damphousse. Now, I am smart, and I did look at the sheet that you've got prepared here, and out of the names that you've got on there, if I had to pick somebody not named Vincent Damphousse, who I've already pumped his tires enough, it would be the man on the screen right there. It'd be Henrik Zetterberg for me. Henrik Zetterberg.
That's my answer.
Yep. Well, yeah, look, we're on the same wavelength, dude. Like,
You are on the
what you're
wavelength.
talking about.
You did get 2 answers. Fuck. Well, now I don't know who to pick. Shit.
You just pick Henrik Zetterberg because he's
Well,
the,
yeah, my
he's,
answers have
he's the
changed.
guy.
He still is the number one snub for me. Well, I guess this question offers some variance, though, Adam. Similar ilk, but it's not because those are our personal opinions, I guess. Who will be the first of the top snubs to actually get in the Hockey Hall of Fame? Some of the names I saw thrown out today: Henrik Zetterberg, Ryan Getzlaf, Rod the Bod himself, Bernie Nichols, Sergei Gonchar, and Patrick Ilyich.
Probably out of those guys, like Rod Brennamore, I guess maybe Rod. It's tough. Like Henrik Zetterberg. The reason I say Henrik Zetterberg, by the way, like actually, screw all that. I'm gonna stay with Henrik Zetterberg. I think he's my personal pick, and I think he's my personal pick because I'm a logical person, and he's also the objective pick here. Okay, Henrik Zetterberg is a Stanley Cup champion. He is a Conn Smythe winner. He has like 960 career points. He played a hell of a defensive game, which I don't know if they actually account for any of that, but he logged tons of minutes. Jack, he is part of the Triple Gold Club. He's won what is it, the
World
Olympics,
Stanley Cup and Olympics?
I don't think it's World Juniors. I think it's the Olympics, it's the World Championships, and then what's the other one? What am I missing? Olympics, World Championships, and then
That's
maybe it is World Juniors.
Oh, you're saying for internationally. It is World Juniors then. Yeah, I think it's those 3.
Okay. Well, anyway, shame on me for not knowing that off the top of my head, but I do know that Henrik Zetterberg is in the Triple Gold Club, and to be an international player of that caliber, that says a lot about you. So, Henrik Zetterberg's the answer. He's the guy.
That is my answer as well. Adam, the last one for the fill in the blank before we hit another new segment. 3 straight new segments. That might be a world record for live recorded podcasts with less than 10 listeners that are based in Cleveland, Ohio, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Probably. I'll call Guinness and confirm. Blank is the NHL draft prospect I'm most excited for.
You want me to go first?
My answer is Gavin McKenna. So unless your answer is Gavin McKenna, by all means.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be like a big soap opera with him in Toronto. So it'll be entertaining in that fashion. I don't really know anything, to be honest, about like the prospects. So I was just like scrolling through like what everybody's mocked up for. And maybe what's catching my eye the most is the amount of international talent that's in this first round type of group. Like you've got the Stenberg, you got Viggo Bjork out of Sweden. Like that's a cool name. And he's a hell of a player too, from everything I've seen. Alberts Smits, this guy from Latvia. Do you remember him from the World Juniors? He's like a drill sergeant. He's like, he doesn't smile. He's not happy ever. Like he's just a defenseman that wants to kill everybody in the path. So that guy, that's really cool. And then there's also there's so many like Russian guys that are going to come off the board, probably like in the 18 to 32 range, Jack. Like, let me just give you some names here. And this guy's not even, I guess he's listed as a U.S. citizen, but he's certainly Russian in some capacity. Nikita Klepov, Ilya Morozov, Maxim Sokolovsky, Yegor Shilov, Nikita Sherbakov, like all those guys, just Russian products. I like that. There's a guy from Lithuania too. That's maybe who I'm most excited for is the Lithuanian locomotive Simas Ignatavicius. I mean, that's a hell of a name. That's cool.
Fast.
Playing for sorry, what?
I made a really dumb joke. Really, really dumb joke. I said say that 10 times fast, then you don't actually have to. It was really, really stupid.
No, I can't. But when I look at it, my brain just wants to think that it's the Lithuanian translation for Saint Ignatius, and he's just named.
No, I think it is. It's definitely possible. Go Cats. Adam, you want to hit our third new segment of the show?
Yeah, I don't even know what this is, to be honest. What are we doing?
Okay. Because this is something that I did a lot of research on yesterday, actually. I spent most Sunday night preparing this segment ahead of time for today's show. Because, Adam, my interest was piqued because I knew that there was, I think, like a top 5 pick hasn't been traded in like a crazy long time ahead of time in the NHL draft. But there have been 6 times since 2010 that a top 10 pick has been traded ahead of the draft, excluding trade backs, such as the trade that went down yesterday between the Panthers and Senators for Brady Tkachuk. This is the 7th trade since 2010. So, Adam, I just wanted to quickly run through some history for you, maybe see what we're getting into. I will say Brady Tkachuk, probably the best player, if not top 2 or 3 of this list of guys to be traded for a top 10 pick. But Adam, I just need a quick. This doesn't even be a crazy long segment. Just grade the trades for me. That's all I'm asking on you, brother. Just grade these trades. In 2011, Adam, the Columbus Blue Jackets held the number 8 overall pick in the NHL draft. They packaged it with the number 68 pick as well as Jakub Voracek for Jeff Dallas Carter, who I believe got hurt in his 1 or 2 seasons in the Blue Jackets. With the Blue Jackets, never really did much. Adam, those picks, though, accompanying Jakub Voracek, the trade ends up in the future looking like number 8 overall pick, Sean Couturier, number 68 overall pick, Nick Cousins, and Jakub Voracek for about a year of Jeff Carter. What is your grade for the Columbus Blue Jackets who moved on from a top 10 pick?
That one's pretty bad considering that Jeff Carter didn't stay there for any time at all. So using hindsight to my advantage, and this was in 2011, right? After the 2010-2011 season?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jeff Carter was a hell of a player. He was putting up 40-goal seasons and stuff like that. So, and it was Voracek on the way back, right?
Voracek, Couturier, and Cousins go to Philly. Carter goes to Columbus.
I mean, it's like a D+ because of the fact that Jeff Carter didn't play for you at all and then turned around and won a Stanley Cup with the LA Kings. So that's my opinion on that one. Just the lack of longevity really, really sewers you.
Adam, this one probably going to hit a little bit closer to home for a man like you. In the 2012 offseason, the Carolina Hurricanes traded the number 8 overall pick, Brian Dumoulin, and Brandon Sutter, right?
Brandon Sutter.
It's been a long time. For Jordan Constall. The number 8 pick becomes, do you know?
Derek Pouliot. Terrible pick.
Damn right it does. But Adam, what grade overall do you give the Canes for Pouliot, Dumoulin, and Sutter for Constall?
Brandon Sutter was a pretty serviceable player for us when we had him. Derek Pouliot was a complete disaster at number 8 that year. I believe that was also the same draft that we took Oli Mata, though. I don't know. Maybe you can fact check me on that.
Yeah. I will when you while you talk about this trade.
Yeah, just do me that favor because I think that Derek Pouliot was a disaster for where we took him at, but we got lucky because Oli Mata we drafted at 23rd or something, and he turned out to be a stud. But Brian Dumoulin, 22nd. Okay, yep. Nice. Good for you, Adam.
Good for you.
Brian Dumoulin, hell of a player though, unbelievable player, Brian Dumoulin. So. Considering the circumstances, we won 2 cups with Brian Dumoulin. So I think both teams made out. This is one of those where both teams made out A- for both teams.
See, I was going to say a C just as a wash, as in both teams ended up benefiting.
Oh, no, I think if it's mutually beneficial.
Well, you know what I mean? I meant C as in it's in the middle. Yeah, well, yes, an A for both sides, or cancel the A's out, make a C, whichever way.
Okay.
Well, we have the same answer.
Okay.
Also, I didn't give one for the first trade. That's a bad trade.
Okay.
Yeah. 2013. So 3 straight off seasons in a row, you saw a top 10 pick get traded. The New Jersey Devils held the number 9 overall pick, and Adam, Marty Brodeur was on his way out the door. That team needed some goaltending. So who'd they turn to but the man in the bottom left corner of your screen, Corey Schneider? Adam, the only issue is the number 9 overall pick that the Canucks ended up getting became Bo Horvat.
For Corey Schneider. Yeah, so here's my thing, right? Goalies never get drafted in the top 10, basically. I shouldn't say that it never happens because it has, but
very rare.
Is Carey Price a top 10 pick? He was a first round pick at the very least.
Let me look. I'll do some research.
like my point is that those are very much diamonds in the rough. And so to trade a top 10 pick in exchange for a goaltender, that doesn't really, I don't really like the idea of that. So Bo Horvat burned them too because he's a sick player, Bo Horvat. So yeah, you miss out on a lot right there. That's
Carey
that's
was
an F.
fifth overall.
Fifth overall. Thank you. So
And
that's
I would agree on an F. You can't give that trade
Yeah.
anything above an F. If you give that trade a D minus, they should check you into a mental institution. I am right there in lockstep with you, Adam. But let's fast forward on off to the 2017 offseason because that trade was so damn bad that some kids went all the way through high school without seeing a top 10 pick traded because nobody wanted to end up being, whoa, we got a phone call. That never happens. I have no friends. Holy shit. That was weird. Regardless, though, the 2017 offseason, Adam, the Arizona Coyotes held a top 10 pick. And this is just a good example of two teams who usually have no clue what the hell they're doing, somewhat having no clue what the hell they're doing once again. The Arizona Coyotes trade the number 7 pick and Tony DeAngelo out to the New York Rangers for Antti Ranta and Derek Stepan. Adam, the number 7 pick becomes Lias Andersson, who, as we all know, didn't really amount to shit. So a pretty interesting trade. You get Lias Andersson and Tony DeAngelo for Antti Ranta and Derek Stepan.
Well, if you're the Rangers,
you're flabbergasted by that trade.
I'll be honest. I did not realize that that's how like Lias Andersson's pick ended up in the Rangers' hands and how Tony DeAngelo ended up there.
This is why we're doing this.
Or how Derek Stepan ended up in Arizona via that. That is one of the more perplexing and puzzling trades that I've heard. That is a really terrible, god-awful trade for Arizona to begin with. Like, it's an F-tier trade. And then for the Rangers to turn around and pick a guy who was back in the Continental League before he was like 22 or 23 years old. I mean, that's just horrific for a top 10 pick. Now, the Rangers, as we know, are just one of the more brutal organizations you could ever go to if you're a player of young talent. So why would they even bring in a top 10 pick to their own hands when they know that? It's an F tier all the way around. Two just ridiculously terrible outcomes.
Yeah, no, like I said, this is just a prime. Like if honestly, if you ever want
to so bad,
you just put this trade in front of people. Like I think that's the best way you can sum up both of these organizations. And Adam, that trade was so bad that another group of high school kids went all the way through without seeing a top 10 pick traded because nobody wanted to be the Arizona Coyotes. We fast forward off to the 2021 offseason. The Vancouver Canucks trade the number 9 overall pick, a 2022 second round pick, Jay Beagle, Louis Eriksson, and Antoine Roussel.
For OEL and
Connor Garland is the trade that goes down. Adam, just to fill you in though, so the number 9 pick that Arizona/Utah ends up getting becomes Dylan Guenther. Then the 2022 second becomes Jack McBain, who's also a very useful NHL in your lineup forward guy. And then they eat, and this is also to even give even further context, this was to eat the final year of Jay Beagle, Louis Eriksson, and Antoine Roussel. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they were stuck with Jay Beagle for a decade or some shit for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who, as we all know, went in their faces, and Connor Garland.
That's a fantastic trade for Arizona because they were not in a position where they're making playoffs in 2021. And for it to turn into Dylan Guenther, it's a hell of a job to draft him. Jack McBain, also, like you said, great player. That's an A outcome for Arizona because the 3 pieces of junk that they collected, respectfully, because those guys were all good in their time, but at the time of the trade to collect those guys and just kind of like take on a contract and usher them out the door after that, while adding the assets and getting rid of guys you probably didn't want to pay or were already kind of tied down by a contract, like it's good foresight, honestly. So they figured something out in the time that they figured something out. Vancouver, though, as we've talked about at length, boneheaded front office, and so it's the opposite side of the spectrum for them to go. Like, I don't know, man. That's a tough price to pay for 2 players who they're not bad, but they're certainly not that good. in my opinion.
And Adam, the last one, the most recent one up until this past year, or sorry, until yesterday, not this past year, in 2022, Ottawa traded the number 7 overall pick, the number 39 overall pick, and a 2024 third round pick to Chicago. I'm a dumbass. That took way too long for me to think of. For Alex DeBrincat, who found himself right back out the door pretty damn shortly after for Ottawa. So, but an interesting trade, though. So the Ottawa gets the number 7 overall pick, which is Kevin Korchinski, who hasn't really done a whole shit ton as the number 7 overall pick. Number 39 is Paul Ludwinski, who is, I believe, still a prospect in their system. The 2024 third-round pick would be St. Ignatius Wildcat, AJ Spellacy. So that's a fun one to throw in there. The pride of Cleveland, Ohio. I believe he just finished his last year in the OHL. So the book is still out on him. For Alex DeBrincat, who turned his ass right back out that door. Adam, what are your thoughts on this one? This is a very interesting one.
Well, this is like a mirror image of what they don't want to do right now, because they have a plethora of picks. One of them is a top 10 pick, and they need to trade for a top 6 forward. And so just don't trade for a guy like Alex DeBrincat, who's not going to re-sign with you and is going to want to leave. So that's kind of eerie that this is them finding themselves. They're going to be back-to-back. They're going to be back-to-back in this timeline, if they do things the right way. So they better figure it out this time around. It's a bad trade for them. Obviously, it's an F trade, and for Chicago, it's like a C- trade right now, because you already knew you were going to be rebuilding, so you try to get as much as you can for DeBrincat, but you're still trying to figure out if these guys are actually going to be anything. So it's just too early to tell for them, honestly. Korchinski could be a good player. If Korchinski turns into a good player, it becomes really good for them.
Oh, it becomes a win so fast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Adam, flipping on off to the hockey DB. I was a big fan of the grade of the trade. I loved getting to take a little loop around hockey history with you, Adam. But it's time to take an even deeper loop into hockey history with this week's Hockey DB of the Week. Adam, I honestly, when I saw this name on the Hockey DB sheet, my head went to baseball. First, it went to, Babe, like Babe Ruth, the great Bambino, the Salt and the Sweat. And second, I thought, what are the odds that Babe Dye is related to former Chicago White Sox center fielder Jermaine Dye? It turns out that those odds are pretty low considering he's white. But Adam, take it away on Babe Dye.
Number one, look at the head of hair on Babe Dye right there.
I have to pull up who he looks like. Keep going, please. But this is awesome.
Just a really handsome guy. And I mean, I guess time is a flat circle, because I see about like a million kids with this exact haircut nowadays, like just that tight fade there on the side. But thank God he doesn't have a perm on top, just a really luscious head of hair. But Babe Dye, I think he's the first player on the Hockey DB of the Week that we featured born in the 19th century, Jack. That would be an 1898 birth year on Babe Dye. But can you off the top of your head think of the reason why I pulled Babe Dye to be our DB of the week this week? Just taking a look at that.
Outside of the cool name, Adam, the first thing that popped into my head is the fact that the year after he retired from playing hockey, he went on to win the championship as a coach and then was not brought back for the next season.
Yeah, that's kind of perplexing. Now, I'm not a historian, so I don't know if that was his own call to go out on top there from the Chicago Shamrocks. But Jack, the reason why Babe Dye is featured today is because I am proposing that the NHL create the Babe Dye Young Award, similar to the Cy Young Award in baseball, but the Babe Dye Award, the Dye Young Award, if you will.
I love
for the player with the highest ratio of goals to assists in one season. If you take a look at Babe Dye's career here, he culminates to a 202 goals to a 41 assist ratio. That's a little bit over 4-1, Jack. Maybe even actually, yeah. For every like 4 goals that he scored, he had 1 assist, I believe, is the math that comes out on that. So, Babe Dye, the Dye Young Award, the DYE Young Award, not to be confused with Kesha. That I think would be one of the coolest awards that you could hand out. Like we're talking about a season, Jack, in the 2021 with the Toronto St. Pats, where in 23 games you're tucking 33 bingos with just 2 assists for 35 points on the year. That's awesome. 38 goals and 6 assists for 44 points. That's awesome. I mean, you can't do it any better than that. He's the Cy Young of the NHL all time.
And Adam, it's so perfect, I guess, because I have a couple of things to pull up for you here. Actually, I did a lot of work in the last 2 minutes. I'm sure the people at home can hear me typing away. But Adam, it's so fitting that you bring up Babe Dye in baseball because Adam, before there was Bo Jackson, there was Babe motherfucking Dye. That is the one thing I can deliver to you with a full fact. How about a baseball reference of the week for Babe Dye as well? Because he was a multi-sport athlete getting as high as the AA level playing base. And I mean, Adam, just a cross reference. We're looking at these years here. Like, let's look at his best season. Adam, if you'll humor me, in 1923, Babe Dye hit .318 with a .502 slugging, right? In 1923, looped it around and had a 17 goal in 19 game season at the before had a 37 point season in 22 games. Adam, if you talk about that's baseball, is there a guy who is never going to quite like Babe Dye? I actually have his page up here. So
you're looking at Cecil Babe Dye, right? Or Cecil, depending on
if you're Yes. He was voted Canada's top athlete in the first half of the 20th century. Excelled in hockey, baseball, and football. How about that? The more you know.
That's fantastic. Good for the Hamilton, Ontario native.
And Adam. I mean, this is the best. This is the best DB of all time. Oh my Lord! Because also he fought in World War #1. He played 3 professional sports, fought in a world war, invented the Babe Dye Award. This guy might be the greatest human being to ever do it. And Adam, to top it all fucking off, he looks just like Iman Shumpert, former Cleveland Cavalier NBA champion in 2016. I mean, look at those hairstyles. I mean, they're actually. I mean, Adam, I got to give it up to you. This is the DB of your career.
Well, you took it a step further. I didn't look further beyond the numbers here. I really didn't. So, I mean, that's unbelievable. What a resume. So he goes from World War I. He goes from the most brutal trench warfare that humanity's ever seen. He survives that.
In the sack of Versailles, Adam. And then says, you know what? With the things I've fucking seen, you think I'm going to pass you the puck? No, I'm going to go out there and put up 32 goals and 4 assists in a season because I went to war for you to be able to play this stupid-ass game right now. And you know what? I'll go hit 315 in my free time.
Yeah, he's just playing AA baseball in the summers to stay busy and stay in shape, just so he doesn't get bored.
I mean, we all know, like back then, like playing hockey wasn't a full-time career. Like a lot of these guys are like putting up drywall in the off season. You know, maybe we got a bail bondsman in there somewhere. Babe Dye's like, no, I'm gonna go try and put some balls into the 5.5 gap. You know, just go play some minor league baseball in the off season.
That's unbelievable, dude.
Has anyone ever done it like Babe Dye?
He was only 21 years old whenever he played his first season there with the Toronto St. Pats in the 1919-1920 calendar season. So that means that he was enlisted in the military probably as young as you're legally allowed to be to go get shipped over and, like you said, be in the sack of Versailles and see unspeakable acts of war before coming back and just dominating the best hockey league in the world. Really, truly unbelievable stuff.
Ever had a 16 home run season in AA the same year that they hit or had 17 goals in the National Hockey League?
I'm dumbfounded, dude. This is the
best thing ever.
This is our best work.
Do we hit the Doku? Close her out.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Let's move on off to the puck Doku. And Adam, it's been such a good episode where I feel like we're breaking it this episode. I think we are putting our chins on the ground and breaking our puck doku record. At 1:21:30 on the recording time, we are going to be live for our doku.
We need a good shake here on the categories. I'm going to go ahead for the integrity of the game, shut my laptop there.
And we're live.
Okay. I got really excited when I saw that Toronto logo. Thought we might be able to throw in Babe Die somewhere, but doesn't look like it.
Could 50 wins be anyone, or is it just a goalie?
This is a goaltending category. So
are we positive?
Immediately, yeah, can you click on it? We'll give you clarification if you click on it.
It does not.
I think wins are a goaltender stat, so it's got to be goalies.
What I'm going to do...
Number one...
Would it be within the lines of the game for me to go onto Puck Doku on Safari, not for any answers, to type in the name Mike Bossy in the bottom left just to see if you can do players? Because if you can do players, it changes the whole ass grid. You know,
it does, and without the game giving us an explanation, I think that we're within our bounds to explore with this independent variable that you've introduced. So
we would feel very comfortable about Mike Bossy having 50 career playoff wins, right?
Yeah, I mean he's on all those teams that won 4 in a row. I was gonna say if we can't use
no players confirmed.
No players, right? So instead, I would maybe think of like.
And we're gonna restart here at 1:23 on the recording right now. Our 10-minute timer.
Yeah,
now. We actually
that's good.
Everything.
Listen, we would never cheat the integrity of the game there.
Couldn't.
So Billy Smith won the Conn Smythe for the Islanders the last year that they won their 4 in a row. The only problem is I don't know if he was the goalie for that whole time. But
dude, it's also so hard because like it's 16 wins to win the cup, you know? Like
I think it might have been 15 for them. The first round might have been a best of 5 still, but either way,
worse for us, you know.
Either way, okay, let's dial in here. The bottom's going to be a little challenging, but Billy Smith, like I said, Billy Smith comes to mind there. Yarrow Halak, though, like honestly, Yarrow Halak could work for either the Islanders or the 50 postseason wins is so much, dude. Okay.
How wild.
Maybe we do now these don't have to be all that's career, so it doesn't have to be all with that team. There's a goaltender. I don't know.
Let's do a top 6 and get those out of the way because we're gonna sit here and think for 5 minutes.
That's fair. Top left. The recency bias tells you Braden Shen and Jonathan Drouin. So it's some safety nets. Hurricanes and Islanders.
This is a really tough grid.
This is a really tough one. Jake the Snake Gardner was a Hurricane and a Leaf, so there's a safety net for you there.
Was Jesperi Kotkaniemi on the Canes and Habs?
Yes, he was drafted by the Habs. He'll probably be pretty high for that one, but that's an answer.
Good to have a name.
Yeah. David Ayers, Carolina goaltender and Zamboni employee for the Leafs. Okay.
Tyler Bozak, top right.
Tyler Balsack does work, but Kasperi Kapanen also works in the top right.
And he'd probably be lower now.
Yeah, he would be lower than Bozak for sure.
Let's throw him in.
I really hope he's not that high.
3%.
Can live with that.
We're also not, with the bottom row, we're not getting below 11. We should accept that now.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one for sure. Show me. I think he was getting cold feet here, but I'm going to trust my gut if that's okay. I think Jacob De La Rose works in the top middle.
Okay.
Jack. I think that the Red Wings were like in between those, but Jacob De La Rose is really sticking out to me right now.
Bang.
It feels really good to see that one fall.
It should.
Okay.
You're a great fucking
Man, okay. I don't mind the Jake Gardner name, but that could be tough. Patrick Marleau will probably be the number one answer there if I had to guess. Trying to think like if there was like a Penguin or a Golden Knight who had stops in both those places. You know what I mean?
That's what I've been thinking about the whole time. Was Eric if we needed Patches works in the middle too.
Oh, great shout. And
the right.
Yeah, he was on the Maple Leafs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. I think we could get away. You think we could get away with using him there on the far right?
Well, because he blew his leg out and like barely even played for the Hurricanes, you know?
Yeah, but he definitely played for Toronto, yeah. And then
he played for both. I feel like he's not that memorable in either of those places, though.
No, I would be comfortable, honestly, doing that.
All right.
For the Leafs column. Good name there, Jack.
Here we go.
Really good talk. Really good talk on that one.
Was Nick Leddy ever a Blue?
Nick Leddy was on the Blues, yes.
Was he an Islander too?
Oh, he might have been. He was a Blackhawk.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying when we opened this grid, the first name I thought of was Nick Leddy, top left, and I've just been not comfortable enough to say it out loud until I contributed.
We've gone back and forth on him before.
I know.
I think he might have been. He might have been on the Islanders before he ever went to the Blackhawks. And then I think from there he went to the Blues, and he went like Blues to Red Wings, and then like Red Wings to Sharks. Might be the career path of a Nick Leddy. So I think that's a name we use. I don't know if we pull a trigger on it right now, but I would be comfortable putting it in because he just might be a little high. I don't know. I still want to go for like a little uniqueness and not just chalk with like Drew.
You want to try for one of the two on the left, 50 playoff wins, Cujo, or two on the right, Habs or Leafs.
Yeah. What do you think about like Jose Theodore too? Do you think he played?
I wouldn't hate going Cujo bottom right, and
let's do him for the bottom right,
and then Theodore in the middle. Damn.
Oh my God. We should have taken Frederik Andersen there in hindsight.
Well, I mean, he also was just there.
I know, but
yeah, I mean,
surely couldn't have been higher than 33. But there's probably not that many guys for every category.
Do we try and fill out a win now?
Try to fill out what?
A win.
Oh, definitely. Jeez, man. That's so tough.
I still feel good about Josie Theodore.
I'm trying to think.
What about
Roberto Luongo for the bottom left?
Oh, Luongo was an Islander?
I believe he started his career there.
Oh wow.
Oh no.
He did not.
He might just not have had the wins. I'm gonna look him up.
Oh. I mean, you want a cup. I'm gonna put Nick Leddy now for my sake.
Am I dumb? I really hope I'm not dumb.
Oh, Nick Leddy was right. There you go.
How many playoff wins did he have? Wow, he just didn't have the playoff wins.
Oh, really? Oh, Josie Theodore didn't either. Well, now we know. Adam, let's wrap.
He was an Islander, though. He played 24 games for the Islanders.
No shit.
I knew that he was. How does Bobby Lou not have 50 playoff wins? That's kind of tough for me to swallow.
Yeah.
That's tough for me to swallow. It is.
But Adam, overall, a great episode of Having Fun Hockey. Any parting thoughts before we kick on off to next week?
This all might mean nothing by the time the draft comes around on Friday night because my prediction is that this Brady Tkachuk trade is going to pale in comparison to something that we see come draft day. Like somebody's going to get traded that we just don't see coming. So it'll be fun though. Hopefully it's not like Darnell Nurse to the Penguins because then I'd have to do something that I can't say.
You shouldn't have said that on air. You just shouldn't have even put that into the air.
Well, no, I'm confident that Kyle Dubas has his head square on his shoulders. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to actually say publicly what I'm thinking in my head that I would do if Darnell Nurse came to my ball club. But who knows? Shout out to Babe Dye. Best part of my day today.
Yeah, Babe Dye, you are the winner of today. We'll catch you guys next week on Having Fun Hockey. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always. We are currently the largest 6 hockey podcast, listener podcast on the planet. We'd love to be the largest 7 hockey listener podcast on the planet based out of Cleveland and Pittsburgh on Cleveland time.